In today's media landscape, transparency is the new table stakes. Spectrum Reach provides transparent, network-level reporting, allowing marketers to accurately measure and optimize for superior campaign results. Their solutions find captive audiences across premium TV and digital inventory. That's inventory seen by real people and held to the highest brand safety measures. Move beyond eyeballs to true engagement in a brand-safe way. Go to spectrumreach.com/adage.
The Grillo's Pickles pop-up in the Lower East Side has become a must-stop for superfans. Now, in its third year, the pickle-only storefront celebrates the brand's street cart roots while drawing thousands of visitors and millions of social media impressions. Checking out the storefront is even a part of the Grillo's onboarding process. In this episode of the Marketer's Brief podcast, Grillo's Chief Marketing Officer, Mark Luker, talks about how the brand is building community through pop-ups and other events, the challenges of scaling specialty items, and why gut instinct still drives much of the brand's innovation. We also discuss Grillo's criteria for partnerships, including how it came to work with fast food chain Sonic, and how the team keeps a pulse on trends. All right, well, Mark, thank you so much for joining me today. So Grillo's does a pop-up event every year in New York City, and you guys have done this for the last several years. But can we step back for a second? How did this get started?
Yeah, so I think we'll go back to the beginning of the brand quickly. Started as a street brand, so selling two spears for $1 in the Boston Common out of a pickle cart. The brand kind of has its roots being super authentic and with the people. Our co-founder, Eddie Andre, is still with the brand. So he's really the one that leads the true DNA moments for the brand. So going back to 2012, Eddie and the gang would set up at the Orchard Street Pickle Festival in the Lower East Side. And he found inspiration from Lower East Side artists like Basquiat, Andy Warhol, Beastie Boys, a lot of the skate culture that's inherent there. So it's been an inspirational neighborhood for kind of the DNA and who the brand is. And we've been there for years, and it's kind of expanded over time. So from Orchard Street Pickle Festival for a number of years, partnerships at Max Fish, which was a skate bar on the Lower East Side, Ray's Bar we've been partnering with for years, Shut Skateboards, which is the Lower East Side skateboard company we've done some collabs with. And then really the pop-up started 2023, 24, and 25. So we've run 3 in a row so far on Rivington Street, and it's really just getting back to the roots and the DNA of who the brand is.
Can you talk about how did you guys decide on the first one? Like what made you say we'll have because my understanding is it's a storefront. It is a physical storefront that is totally dedicated to you guys. It is not like, oh, we're going to take over a partner shop. It is like, no, all pickles.
Yeah, it's all pickles for about 3 weeks, 16 calendar days if you actually count it. But, it was really Eddie's brainchild. It was just a gut feeling of this is right, and this is where we need to show up as a brand. So we'll have custom merch. We'll have local artists come in and help decorate the shop. We have custom pickled items that only show up at that time. We bring in local brands and restaurant partners. So 169 Bar, Ray's Bar, Dudley's, Pop-Up Bagels, Aladoros. This year we had InstaRamp out there. So how do we really link into the community and build that? And I think Eddie's done a fantastic job building that connection. Me, coming into the brand a little later, Eddie's obviously been here 17 years. I've been working on the brand for 2. My fear is what happens when we lose our authenticity with who we are as a brand. And as we scale and as the brand grows, there's a fear that you kind of lose touch with who you are or where you came from. And I think the pop-up shop on the Lower East Side and a lot of the work that Eddie does really, it stays true to our roots and our super fans that got us to where we are today, and not forgetting them and recognizing how important they are to the brand, how important they are to us. And, just taking that time to really celebrate that neighborhood and the inspiration it's had for the Grillo's brand.
Can you talk a bit about, do you have any good metrics about, turnout at the pop-up? Is it good sales or how many people come out?
Yeah, we get a ton of impressions on social. So, this year pushing near 30 million impressions. We had over 6,000 unique visitors that came into the shop, over 2,000 unique transactions. For us, you can measure some of the virality of the content. So I mentioned the custom pickled items. And for some reason, we've got pickled grapes that before I had them, I didn't think they were going to be that good, but they were actually pretty fantastic. And the amount of outreach we've had post pop-up or even during the pop-up, because we'd sell out, the day we'd get a restock of grapes, we'd sell out. And the excitement around that item has just been really cool to see. It's not something we can scale and bring to a broader market at this time, but for those 3 weeks, it's, specialty items like that really go a long way, and it's a conversation piece.
Did you have any agency help in setting this up, or was this all done internally?
For the shop setup itself, it's internal. The making the pickles, that's internal. We do have support from our PR firm, Autumn Communications, so they help with a tease event. They help get some influencers there, press outreach. So Autumn's been a great partner in this, but the actual shop itself, set up by our team internally, manned by our team internally. So working the cash register, Eddie, again, our co-founder, he's back, with an iPad, working sales for 16 days straight. It's pretty impressive.
I wonder how many people come in and have no idea that they are talking to a co-founder.
I would think a ton, and it's always fun to see the energy. So you asked about metrics and all that. There are metrics that matter, but also the feel and like the gut you have when you walk into the location. Eddie said this before I joined. He's like, dude, the pop-up's important because when you go there, you can feel something different. And he wasn't lying. Like when you go there, you can feel a different energy. And when we onboard new people to the brand and the business, if they haven't seen a pop-up before, I send every new employee has to go experience the pop-up because I don't know how else you're going to feel the brand and then speak on the brand's behalf without really understanding that. And that's a really special moment for the company and the team. And it's a way to see the world through Eddie's eyes. And as a brand, we've tried to stay more personalized. So if you look at our social feeds and everything, a lot of things we do, it's trying to look through like the eyes of the viewer or the consumer. And I think having that time at the pop-up and seeing the world through Eddie's eyes and through the fans' eyes that do stop at the pop-up, it's a really special moment, and it's hard to describe without going and experiencing it, but it's unique and unlike anything else we do throughout the year.
I would love if that were part of the onboarding process. You get to go hang out and eat pickles in the Lower East. It's a good time. It's a
It
great
is.
tradition.
And usually there's other events. So there's Brown Bag Co. will be doing a pop-up on the sidewalk. So we'll have, food served at the pop-up, or Ray's Bar will be hosting a night event. So there's the pop-up itself, but then it's kind of the activity and energy in the Lower East Side, around the event too, that I think is pretty special.
Did you guys know that going into the pop-up that you would have let's have other brands, other restaurants, etc., in the community, like be a part of it? Or yeah, was that an original idea?
I think some of the brand friendlies that we've known for years, so the Ray's Bars of the world, I think, going in, we knew we'd want to partner with them and find ways to work together. But I think each year we just try to make it bigger and better and become more ingrained in the community and find other folks that want to participate, or they see that we show up and it's not just a press stunt or anything else. Like it really is important to the brand to show up for the people that have been with us forever. So it's grown every year. This year, I think almost every day there was a unique happening with a different bar partner, with Insta Ramp coming on the street, or one day we would have a street artist come in and tag the shop. So there's like custom artwork happening. So there's always something happening that's connecting us back to the community.
So you guys, as you said at the top, you guys have done this for a couple of years now. Any advice if there were another brand who were like, we would also love to do a really good experiential IRL event? Any words of wisdom to them?
I think the biggest thing is knowing who you are as a brand and then staying very, very true and close to that. So as a brand, Grillo's is rooted in skate and punk rock culture. Those two things are very inherent to the personality of the brand. And so if you look at our pop-ups, the partnerships we have, the events we're at, it makes a lot of sense. So as long as you know your North Star and you know exactly who you are as a brand, lean into that, own it, and make sure you connect to the community that's going to make sense for that.
So are we going to see a pop-up in 2026?
We're working through the details on that right now, but trying to go bigger and better every year. So location TBD, still going to be in New York somewhere, but we're working through some of the finer details on that right now.
What is the biggest challenge, I guess, with pulling off? I mean, to have it last for several weeks, but is there anything that you're like, man, this does not get easier every year?
Yeah, so as it scales, we need more of the custom pickled items every year. And that's never easy to try to source items that you don't typically make on a daily basis. So it's a strain on our operations team, asking them to make items that are not everyday items. When we run through inventory quicker than we think, asking for rush deliveries, shipments, all that, those can be challenging. And then the people investment is also important. So Eddie, he's our VP of brand. So having him out of pocket for a month, running a pop-up, and then we rotate various folks from the team down to work the shop. There's a lot of time and energy put into this. So, you're making sacrifices on other things the business could be focused on. But again, all for good reason. And again, staying true to the roots. But knowing that going in, that's my job, is to try to make sure we plan ahead, and we know we're going to have a little gap in coverage on certain things. So how can we finish tasks for the fall a little bit earlier in the spring? So we know June's kind of a heads down month.
Just in general, Mark, can you talk a little bit about where the pop-up, but not just the pop-up, like any other IRL experiences that you guys do, how does that fit in your marketing plan? Because we've seen that there are plenty of other brands who may say like, hey, we're doing like a weekend pop-up, at a partner brand kind of a deal. But this is clearly a more ongoing thing. So how do you look at it? Is it like a tent pole in your strategy, or is it just like, all right, we know, like you said, we know, okay, we might have a little less coverage, but just how do you guys think about it in terms of your overall marketing strategy?
So we have a full team dedicated to this. So it's very important to us. So we do have consistent events throughout the year. And again, it goes back to, I think I referenced this a little bit earlier. As we scale as a brand, we can't lose our authenticity. That is my biggest fear. And if you ask what keeps me up at night, that would be it, is getting away from who we are, and showing up in real ways to real fans is important, both because it's part of who we are, but it's also the right thing to do. So as a brand, kind of the spaces we lean into when it comes to experiential, I talked about the DNA a bit earlier. So skate culture, music, snowboarding, and kind of mountain sports is another thing. So we'll show up at Mammoth Mountain in California, Stratton up in Vermont. So we have some partnerships there. We'll show up and we have chair lifts. And when there's pond skims at the end of the year, we'll be there. And then speed is kind of the last area for our lifestyle that we've shown up. So there's some derby cars, there's some other racing events that we've started to dip our toe in the water on. So we're finding ways that we know, the roots of the brand and our super fans that helped get us to where we are today, where they're showing up and what they're interested in, kind of what our foundation is. And so we probably have 6 to 8 at least events a year that speak back to that community that helped get us here, and we're going to continue to do that.
All right, I want to shift gears just a little bit, Mark. So before a career in food, you were in the military. And I wanted to ask, do you think that that has helped you at all as a marketer?
I think it has. I think it keeps the team more level. I wouldn't say we ever get too high or too low. At the end of the day, we're selling pickles. And if we can't have fun with this and have a good attitude every day, then we shouldn't be showing up to work. So I think we try to keep the energy and mood very light around the office. And it's okay to make mistakes. I encourage the team to take chances and do things that they don't feel comfortable in, or bring ideas to me that if I say yes, I'm nervous I might get fired for. Like that's the zone I want to operate in. And it's been a ton of fun and it's been great. I think, we have a young team, which is great. And I think military experience brings some level of like coaching and training that comes in handy. So it's been a lot of fun to go into teach mode. And that's been probably my favorite part of the job, is the team and being able to hang out with them and watch them grow and shine. That's awesome.
We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk new products and partnerships.
In advertising, not all data is created equal. Spectrum Reach's advertising solutions harness unrivaled first-party data to reach marketers' best potential customers across screens and platforms, both in the Spectrum Reach footprint and beyond. Spectrum Reach provides addressable match rates at 95%, while the industry benchmark is 60%. Accurate, high-fidelity data leads to greater ROI. Go to spectrumreach.com/adage today.
Welcome back to the Marketer's Brief podcast. I'm speaking with Mark Luker, CMO of Grillo's Pickles. Okay, so Mark, like I said, I want to talk a little bit about some of the products that you did. So we said the pop-up, you guys have limited edition products like the grapes kind of deal. I wanted to ask too about the pickle bouquet. And I think big pickle fans will know what I'm talking about, but Grillo's does a pickle bouquet for Valentine's Day. And I believe you've done this for 2 years now. Can you talk a bit about like, how did this come about? How do you remember how this got started and what makes you guys keep doing it every year?
Yeah, so I think it's actually been closer to 8 years that we've been running the pickle bouquet.
Oh my gosh, eight.
Um, it's
Whoa.
picked up steam the past few years, but it's really about our VP of creative always has this saying, like where there's Grillos, there's fun, where there's fun, there's Grillos. So it's really like a fun moment to show up as a brand. And who wouldn't love a pickle bouquet? It's picked up steam the past few years. So this past year, I think it was within 17 seconds or something like that. It sold out when we launched it online. So then we had to do another release a week later. So it'll run back this next year. But that's a challenge as a team. Everyone gets so excited about that moment. It's like, okay, how do we capture lightning in a bottle with another moment throughout the year? So that's our challenge right now that we're trying to solve is what else is cool and fun and exciting and things that fans and consumers love that we can go do. We have some ideas and we're working on some things, but I think again, not taking ourselves too seriously and being able to have fun with food and with products, that's really core to what we're doing. And I think, who can't smile when you get a pickle bouquet?
How do you guys keep a pulse on things? Are there like what are maybe like one or two ways that you guys are like, all right, what are our customers feeling? What is hot right now? How do we be part of that?
So I would say a few ways. First and foremost, and this is probably not the best answer for you, but gut instinct. There's a few people on the team that really just they get it. And I'm not the smartest one in the room, but I know when they're beating the desk and saying, "This is cool, we really need to do this." I'm like, "You're way cooler than me, so I'm going to trust you." And like, let's go do it. So I think probably 90% of it leans into gut. And then the other bit, our social media manager does an awesome job staying on top of everything that's happening. We're a one person team. So all the community management, all the outreach, all the replies, it's all one person doing all of that. So she's very close to the pulse of everything happening. So I think between her and the few folks on the team that really have that gut, we mash that together, and so far it's netted us out in a pretty good spot.
How do you guys decide on new products? Like, I'm curious how did the pickled grapes come about? Or I think you guys have like some hot bread and butter pickles, I think that came out. So how do you guys decide on like what's the new SKU that we're gonna do?
So some of the more custom limited edition items, again, take their roots back to the 2008 to 2010 era. So Grillo's had a pop-up in Boston back in the day. So it had a brick and mortar spot, and there was a bunch of custom pickled items you could get there. And this is back when Eddie and then employee number 3 of the brand, Cam, he's also with the brand still. So we have two folks that have been with the brand 15, 17 years. They were the ones making pickles and selling them out of this storefront in Boston. So green tomatoes, grapes, asparagus, carrots, you name it. They were making all these things back in the shop years ago. So we'll bring some of those items back up now. And it's kind of we make them for the limited edition stuff. As we look to retail, that's where it gets a little bit different. So that's looking at more market trends. So leveraging Circana data and things like that to figure out what we can launch, what we can scale, what we can sustain with. So we're working on a pipeline. We haven't launched any new items outside of our biggest success was Pickle de Gallo, which we launched, I think, 4 years ago. Since then, we've actually SKU rationalized a little bit. And then now we're starting to build back our pipeline. So hopefully in the next few years, you see some new items from us.
I want to ask too about partnerships. So, Grillo's, I mean, you guys have a long history of doing partnerships. You mentioned some in the skate community, even the local community, but also, I mean, most recently, let's see, you've done Fishwife, Salt and Straw, Little Spoon. There was something with pickled Furbies, which was funny. Sonic is a big one that you've done. So, broadly, like what are some characteristics or some traits that you look for in a partnership?
First and foremost, brand fit. So we want to make sure either it makes total sense that we should be working with this partner, or it makes absolutely zero sense and it's going to be a shock factor. So we have a criteria list that it's kind of subjective, but there's a smaller group of us that go through that. And it's either hell yes or it's hell no. So if we're not all super excited and jazzed about the opportunity, it's a no for us. So that's kind of, again, it goes back to gut a little bit. Potential for virality. So again, either it makes so much sense we there's no way we can't do it, or it makes so little sense that it's going to shock people. I think that's important. Press worthiness, because obviously we're doing these things for a reason, and I think brand awareness and having a story to tell matters. Quality and messaging alignment between the brands, I think, is really important. So as we go to tell a story, it makes sense, or we can find a way to make the story make sense. And then long-term potential. My hope is for a lot of the partners that we can work together year over year and kind of build momentum and whether it's an LTO drop that comes out, once every year, but people are waiting for it. Think of like the McRib sandwich at McDonald's. I know that's not a collab, but everyone gets super excited about that window every year. So is there a partnership we can develop like that over time? And I think, sometimes it's challenging as brands. Like we're in a weird spot right now that we're getting a lot of outreach for collabs. And there's so many things we want to say yes to, but we also have to be respectful of our existing partnerships. And if we stack too much on top of each other, are we watering down partnerships that we have? Are we not capable of having enough space to storytell? So there's a lot of that. It's frustrating at times because you want to say yes and you want to do cool stuff, but again, you've got to sometimes pause and respect the partners you're with at the time and know that you can't do everything.
Little bit of a good problem to have. Nice to be
Yeah.
like, oh, not at this time, but come back to us. We want to do it. I wanted to dig into one of these in particular. Can we talk a little bit about the Sonic partnerships of the dill pickle menu, the pickle menu? And I'm curious, was this your first fast food partnership? How did this come about?
It was the first scaled fast food partnership. There's been some other smaller chains that we've worked with, but as a national chain, this is definitely the first we've worked with. It came together really quickly. I want to say it was February of 25. We had outreach to our info@Grillo's email address from someone in the Sonic organization. And they're like, hey, we'd love to collab, reach out. So we reached out back to them, brought in our parent company. Like we have a shared sales team with our parent company, King's Wine Irresistible Foods Group. So partner in crime, Heidi, shout out to her, brought her into the mix. She has great relationships across the food service industry. Got on a call, figured out what they were hoping to do. Within, I want to say 2 months, we had the menu kind of developed and locked with the Sonic team, and then brought it to market shortly after that. The Sonic team was fantastic to work with, allowed us to give input on the menu. We had limited input on some of the creative. They really leaned into the brand, which was super exciting for us to have a brand of Sonic's pedigree willing to, lean in and have fun with this little pickle brand. And it ended up being just awesome. We had so much fun. The team had so much fun. The excitement of people seeing the Sonic commercials nonstop. Again, I try to see the world through Eddie's eyes a lot of times with him being the co-founder and, being with the brand for so long. And on a Saturday night, I get a text from him and some of his homies he hadn't talked to in years, like, dude, Grillo's was on TV. And like seeing his excitement and the pure joy that he felt, you could tell it was a shifting moment for the brand. And it was fantastic. And the sandwich, the LTO meal was great as well. So shout out to the Sonic team there. Their team just did an awesome job.
Yes, pickle, like the pearls, the pearls the popping
Yeah.
drink pearls. I'm definitely curious, I gotta say. When you look back, Mark, just like in the last couple of years, is there a partnership or a campaign that like you are most proud of?
I wouldn't say one in particular. I mentioned earlier, seeing the team growth is what gets me most excited. And where we're at now, everything's kind of getting bigger and tighter and a cleaner thread through what we're doing. So watching the team grow and the way we're organized today, kind of everyone has their own lane they're responsible for, but seeing the team collaborate and being able to tie together partnerships that we have with an in-store campaign, with an event that we have, and all those pieces working together. And I think you're going to see more of that with our future campaigns. Like that's really what gets me excited, is that all the pieces are working together and we're able to tell a story, not only in retail, but with partnerships, IRL events, on social, being able to tell a story. Like that really gets me excited, that kind of the machines working together, and it allows us just to tell a fuller, more impactful story.
All right, my last one for you, Mark. I like to ask about trends. So, what are some trends that you are watching in your world?
I think similar to most marketers right now, I think AI and where that's going has to be top of mind. We definitely have a lot of exploratory calls trying to figure out what we can leverage AI for. And again, I mentioned this earlier, my fear of losing touch with the brand is really what drives me. So AI is really exciting. It's a shiny object. There's so many cool things you can do with it. But at what point do you over-index onto AI and you lose that personal touch? So trying to find out the right ways to leverage AI and not be behind other brands, but also balancing that with the fact that we are personalized brand. Like we do want to feel very natural. And I told you that our social media manager, that's the one person behind the keyboard responding to everyone. And I don't want to lose that heart that I think we've built with our fans. So again, balancing the benefits of AI, but realizing there are some risks to it as well.
That was Grillo's Chief Marketing Officer, Mark Luker. And I'm Erica Wheelis, food marketing reporter here at Ad Age. I'd like to thank our producer, Lauren Ciardio, and invite you to subscribe to The Marketer's Brief wherever you get your podcasts. We promise to keep it brief, or at least short enough for your morning coffee. Thanks for listening.
Marketer's Brief listeners get $40 off an adage.com subscription. Sharpen your marketing edge and visit adage.com/brief for your discount.